down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard podcast. NFL going into week 6. We have some good matchups today. First of all, Smokey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm better than Giants fans right now because that team is falling apart. They have no offensive line. Now Daniel Jones is in a concussion protocol. Or no, he's got a neck issue or whatever it is. Yeah. Tyrod's going to be starting. They're not going to win many games this season. That is falling apart for them. And I hate it because I liked how the future was looking in the offseason for the Giants. And we see now without the key players on the offensive line and their star running back, this team is in a horrible situation. And without their quarterback at this point forever, however long that's going to be, yeah, I feel sorry for them. But I am better than the Giants right now. How are you?
I'm good. I don't have a team prepared. I'm better than, you know what? I'm better than Cowboys fans.
There you go.
There we go. And I think rightfully so. Love to see whenever Skip Bayless throws his jersey in the trash the next morning, you know it's been a good game. No, that was a good one. That was more than even I expected. Even though I thought we'd beat him pretty good, that was more than I expected. But yeah, Giants for sure as well. It feels like the season is kind of down the drain for the Giants. Kind of a couple of bad bounces gone their way, and I don't know if this is recoverable, especially given who is in your division, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can't get healthy. Like the team just gets beat up. They keep losing players, and that may be happening to the Bills also. Like, have you seen how many of their defensive players are injured at this point in time?
I know the Patriots are like half their team on IR at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never seen anything like it. Like Patriots, all their good players too. Like literally all their best players.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so many injuries. This may be the worst season ever for injuries. I know we might have said that last year or the year before. I think the lack of practice is actually causing more injuries. I know a lot of people disagree with that, and the players' union fought to get away from more practicing. But if you look throughout history, the data shows that more practicing equals less injuries in the long run because your body's conditioned and that it doesn't happen. But I don't think we're going to add more practicing at this point in time to any kind of negotiations by the players' union at all.
No, probably not. Though historically speaking, you probably also consider they used to play on real grass everywhere, and then like before the artificial turf came in, and then also just I guess stricter protocols, right? Like in the 70s, there was not the concussion protocol wasn't what it is today.
True.
And if you broke a finger or something like that, it just didn't really matter. You played.
Yeah,
so people played had to play with injuries, right? So maybe all of it a little bit, but certainly some teams are hit pretty badly.
Oh yeah. And you can forget your name, and they're still pushing you out on the field back in those days.
Exactly. As long as you know the play call.
Yeah.
For sure. Before we get into these picks here, we have a couple of games. Actually, the first thing I'll ask you is how is our prediction standings looking?
Oh yeah. You know what? I forgot. Well, actually, I do have them tallied up. Not good at all. I actually lost the point on you last week because when probably until halfway through Sunday, I thought I was going to kill you. I had the Bears right, but the Bears squashed the Commanders. We'll talk about that later. I had the Colts over the Titans. At this point, I'm feeling really good. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this week wrapped up, right? But you picked the Saints, who totally killed the Patriots. I mean, beat the life right out of them. You picked the Bengals. That was a good call because they returned to form last week, and I had the Cardinals. Did not expect it, but there it is. And I went with the Broncos, and you went with the Jets. And although I like the outcome of that game, I like seeing Sean Payton get beat up. So it is what it is. I'll take that loss.
Yeah, kind of funny that Nathaniel Hackett did it. That's why I like it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Total for you is 8 on the week. Total for me is 7, and I need to brings the total to 48 for you. And not good for me, I'll tell you that. 34. Yeah, 44.
44.
44 to 48.
Okay, so keeping the lead. that was in danger. I'm glad the bleeding stopped a little bit. But 8 is not that great either.
Yeah,
8 games for you. You got to kind of pick it up a couple of notches here. But we have to talk about the MVP race, because it's been 5 weeks, quarter season or past quarter season update rankings, and top 5 on the MVP list. I'm going to be very gracious here, and though I have every reason to put Brock Purdy at number 1, and I think a lot of people could justifiably do it. 0 interceptions, by the way, best passer rating by 10 points in the league. Hasn't lost a game. I still have Tua at number 1. Purdy close second after that game against Dallas. Justin Herbert still at 3. Josh Allen dropping down to number 4 after another suspect game. And Jared Goff back in the mix at number 5 for me. How's it looking for you?
I'm actually going to give you your homer pick as it is. I'm going to say Purdy's actually at number 1 right now. I mean, the guy went 17 for 24, 252. I mean, I know it's not like these flashy quarterbacks like the Allens and Tua, what he's doing, where you get the 300-400 yards in a game. But he's doing what it takes to win, and he's dang near flawless at that. Looking at the problem here with Tua, he went 22 for 30. He tried more times, got more yards in the end, 308 yards, had 2 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, and that's the problem compared to Purdy, who had 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. And since they're, I guess you could say their records are identical except for that one loss to the Bills, I got to give it to Purdy at this point in time, but Tua is right there at it. I don't know that a committee would actually pick Purdy at this time, because it still feels kind of weird that a Mr. Irrelevant is going to win this award, but you got to recognize talent where it's at, I guess. Besides those two, it's kind of a bottleneck there. Hurts, Goff, Herbert, and Allen. You can't deduct Herbert for not playing last week. It was scheduled off, and Allen played bad enough to knock himself down to the bottom of the list, but it was in England, so maybe that had something to do with it, jet lag and whatnot. I know Stephon Diggs actually called him sleepyhead in that game, so maybe they were having issues with jet lag, and hopefully he'll return to his old self. But got to put Goff in there. I think that's a surprise, because they are playing really well. Don't know that McCaffrey hangs around in this list anymore, although he did not play bad. He only played like half a game, and that kind of made me mad, by the way. McCaffrey, yeah, that's true. Sam Darnold came in for 1 pass. But, was that?
Yeah, I say, yeah. Didn't need him.
Yeah, exactly. But the McCaffrey thing really made me mad, because I was counting on him to win me a week in fantasy football. And you know, I also had Ayuk on the team. That hurt also, because they just stopped going to any of the superstars in the second half. You know, Jason Moore, Jordan Mason came out of nowhere. Yeah. Because the game was so over by the third quarter. I could put the whole back of it. You never, with the Niners, like for fantasy, they're producing like such a high rate, but you just never know who's going to be the featured guy, right? Like this week it was all Kittle, and then the week before it's all McCaffrey, and the week before it's all Debo. So you're kind of playing a guessing game every time. Yeah, it's always been hard to play fantasy with Shanahan's offense. I mean, we've been seeing some consistency out of Christian McCaffrey, and he did get the 1 touchdown, so you can't complain, I guess. But we were expecting 2, 3, 4 touchdowns out of Christian McCaffrey as of late, but it is what it is. He may still be on the list. I don't think he's ever going to win it, but yeah, I'm going with Purdy right now.
All right, you said it, not me. Still, I like the pick. To the viewers, you can go vote on your favorite to win MVP as well. On my channel community page, we have a weekly vote. If the season ended today, who wins the MVP? Surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, last week's favorite actually Josh Allen. I'm suspecting that that's going to go down again. Maybe it's going back to Tua. Maybe it's shifting to Purdy. Who knows? We'll see. But votes are already open, and you can go ahead and let me know who you think should be the NFL MVP if the season ended today. we have a game that we play this year during the predictions, and it's called Guess the Biggest Spread, which is a game for you, Smokey. You got to guess the biggest spread out of any of the games of the upcoming week. So week 6, looking at this slate, what do you got?
Looking at it, I'm seeing about 5 games that stand out as dominant favorites over lower ranked teams, but 2 really stand out to me, and I'll go ahead and run through these. The Chiefs and the Broncos, that's probably a decent spread. The Ravens and the Titans should be a decent spread because the Ravens is a much better team than the Titans right now, although Lamar had a really bad game. No, Lamar had a really great game. His receivers had a really bad game. Lamar was playing his ass off. His receivers were dropping everything he was throwing, so that's not his fault, but there are bigger spreads, in my opinion, on this. I would say the Rams and the Eagles and the Jets should be a decent size spread, but the Jets are playing better. The 2 that I'm thinking of, the Dolphins and the Panthers, and the Bills and the Giants, and I have no idea which one of those 2 would have the biggest spread, so I'm going to take a guess and say the Dolphins and the Panthers.
Incorrect.
Oh, really?
But I will spoil this much for you. The difference is half a point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're not
Sweet.
too far off. The line might just change to make you correct before the game starts. So it's a matter of half a point at the moment. Chiefs do have pretty substantial spread against them, 10.5 points, and they are hosting the Broncos on Thursday night. Do you see an upset here, or are we thinking status quo?
No, I don't see an upset coming here. I see Sean Payton wallowing in his misery at this point in time. It was so fitting that Nathaniel Hackett gave him that beatdown. I get it. I picked the Broncos. I expected them to win, and by all measures, they have the talent to beat the Jets, especially with Wilson as quarterback, but they couldn't get it done, and it was great to see that. Dude, Nathaniel Hackett was just super happy over on the sideline. You could see it, just looking over at Sean Payton, like, I got you, MFer. I got you, bro. and he deserved it. Sean Payton deserved it, no doubt. The Chiefs haven't been on their A game lately. Kelsey has been injured. He may be injured in more ways than just rolling that ankle, though. I mean, he's got Taylor Swift to deal with. And I am so sick of hearing of Taylor Swift. Just a sidebar right there. God, I'm so sick of Taylor Swift that I can't even stand it. I don't even know her music, but I can't stand it. Chiefs are much better than the Broncos at this point in time. There's not going to be an upset. I'm taking the Chiefs at home.
I fully agree with that. Chiefs win against the Broncos. So at this point, I can't even tell which team is more annoying. Still really like Andy Reid, still really like Patrick Mahomes, so I guess the sympathy points are still with the Chiefs, but man, the media circus is
yes,
it's bad. It's real bad. I'm taking the Chiefs. Nothing else to say. This is not a tough matchup. They should win this easily. They're playing at home, short week. Broncos in shambles. I can't wait for them to play some stronger teams because they've looked more suspect this year than they have probably in the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of shaky games, plus losing to the Lions opening night. So I'm not so sure. We'll see when they start playing the bigger names. But for now, they're going to beat up on the Broncos. We have the Ravens at the Titans.
Yeah, like I said, Lamar played well enough to win that game easily against the Steelers, and he really should have. That team should have been much better. It was just an off night, and things like that happen sometimes. A good team just gets off, and everybody, for unexplained reasons, starts dropping the ball, and that's exactly what happened. Even Mark Andrews was dropping passes, which never happens. That's his go-to guy. That's his safety blanket, and he could not count on him in this game. Lamar is still a great quarterback, and the team is going to recover against a Giants who just got beat up by the Colts, which also had quarterback injuries. And I don't think the Titans are really good at all. I was talking about last week on how they sometimes bounce back and forth. Like, they'll have a good game, then they'll have a horrible game. But I noticed they were having a good game in week 1. They had 2 horrible games, and then they had a good game. And now this will be their second, so this one should also be a horrible game. I'll be taking the Ravens on the road.
I don't know if this is like as big of a like difference as you think, because both these teams got beat up on by the Colts, and most recently the Ravens also just got beat up on again by the Steelers, who we wouldn't have really thought to be much better, if anything, than the Colts. They've been surprisingly mediocre, and I can't really tell what the issue is here for the Ravens. It's just not coming together. They're not really producing. I want to pick the Titans here. In fact, I'm going to say Tennessee at home. I think they get it done. I think they get it done on the ground game. I think they'll get an interception or two. They'll make it a dirty game right from the start. It's also a very early window game, by the way. The London game, I believe, 3:30 my time, so that's 9:30 in the morning Eastern. That should be a London game. Yeah, I'm taking the Titans. I'm saying Tennessee gets it done against Baltimore. Washington Commies at your Falcons.
Dude, this is going to be a close game in my opinion. I don't want them to let Taylor Heineke start, but this would be a revenge game if he did, and that would be an interesting aspect, a great storyline going into that. But Desmond Ridder played probably the best game of his career last week. He was on fire. And I know the whole team throughout the game did not put up like 40, 50 points. They're not doing what the Dolphins are doing. But that was a great game against a really good DeMeco Ryans defense. And they were on point. That defense could not stop Desmond Ridder in this passing attack in that fourth quarter. Like we've noticed, when Desmond Ridder is on, he's on. In that fourth quarter, he gets hot for some reason. And he was able to put it over on the Texans. The defense is looking much better. Calais Campbell, Grady Jarrett, they're sacking C.J. Stroud. And you got the A.J. Terrell in the backfield. And this offense is just, this defense is just getting better, like I said they would. Do I want to take them? The Commanders got beat up by the Bears. Is that a Dick Butkus thing? The ghost of Dick Butkus came back to stomp out the Commanders? I don't know, but I'm going to be a homer. I'm going to say, since we are at home again, I'm taking the Falcons.
And back home for real in Atlanta. This is a difficult one. It's a difficult one because of the Commanders, because they're such a polarizing team. Like the Commanders and Sam Howell, they can be great. They can legitimately pose a threat to Philadelphia and Dallas on a good day, but on a bad day, they can get blown out by Chicago and it not be close. So this makes it difficult to pick, and I'm gonna join you on this one. I'm taking the Falcons.
All right.
I think maybe they're starting to get clicking. Desmond Ridder probably had his best game as a pro. As a passer, so that's an encouraging sign to see. We know they're running offense, but if they can supplement it with good passing game by Ridder to those threats, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, if they get these guys going, it is a very good offense. And I'm taking the Falcons. I think they're sniffing blood right now. They are division leaders. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're 3-2, right?
Yeah, aren't they tied with the Saints though? Yes.
All right, the Bucks are 3-1 though. But the Bucks have had a bye week, so after this week we'll be able to maybe judge more.
Yeah, exactly.
But right now, the Atlanta Falcons are a playoff team, right now they are in the playoff picture. So I think they still believe they can win the division, and they should, and they certainly have the potential. Falcons beat the Commanders. Vikings at the Bears, Tank Bowl.
This is a Tank Bowl. Another Tank Bowl that could result in a shootout. I know you didn't believe me last week, and look what we got. We got 60 points in that game. I think this could happen here because both of these offenses, when they are on, they can put up a ton of points. Man, Kirk Cousins gave that game away. Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be throwing a Hail Mary at the end. What did he get scared? Like he thought there was pressure coming that wasn't there? Was he seeing ghosts? Whatever. He really just gave that game away at the end. I mean, sure, it wasn't a definite that you were going to hit the Hail Mary, but at least take the chance. Don't just run 15 yards back and get sacked. Take the chance. Throw the ball. Get rid of the ball. But that it is what it is. These Vikings are... They're the opposite of what they were last year, meaning they are the same, just all these games are going the exact opposite direction. The Bears can put up a ton of points when they are on, as we've seen, and Justin Fields played lights out last week. I don't know, this feels like a tie right here. I feel like this is going to be a 30-30 tie in the end. but I will take the home team because of it. I'm going to roll the dice one more time and take the Bears at home.
I did not want you to take the Bears.
Really?
Yep, I didn't, because I feel like I'll get burnt a second time the same way. Because I'm taking Minnesota. I know Justin Jefferson's not playing. I know they're debating maybe even trading Kirk Cousins at this point, because there's no reason to keep his monster contract around, pay him all that money. They're not competitive at all, but the Bears are the Bears. I still think they're probably the worst team in the league. They just won and they looked alright, and DJ Moore had a career day. I don't know why I'm unwilling to pick them, but something in me is. So Minnesota somehow gets it done. I think Kirk Cousins is going to play fine, because if he plays like his sort of average game, he's a much better quarterback than Justin Fields. I think he'll do that. I think he'll lead them to a win. It's going to be a close one, like a 27-23 kind of situation, but I think Cousins gets it done. If not, though, I might have to reevaluate my idea of the Bears, because, well, I mean, beating up on other bottom feeders isn't that impressive, but if you win 2 in a row, you win 2 in a row. So I'm still going Vikings to save some honor here, but I'm not confident in this one. Seahawks at the Bengals.
I'm actually fairly confident in this one. The Seahawks are coming off of a bye, but we do know that the Seahawks can win regardless of who's playing quarterback. And it almost seems like Pete Carroll is just destined to be slightly above mediocre and go to the playoffs every season and occasionally get deep into the playoffs. But Joe Burrow is back. He was mobile once again. That calf healed really quickly there, because he was absolutely immobile the week before, and now he's moving around and the team is back to putting up big points. It was against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have been stout this year. They're 1-4 at this point, but the Cardinals are way better than anyone thought they were going to be, and the Bengals just put one over them to the tune of 34-20. Since the Bengals are back, they are overall a much better team than the Seahawks. I'll be taking the Bengals at home.
I agree with you. I will also take the Bengals. I think most importantly for them is they got their connection back, Burrow and Jamar Chase, that is, because that was dominating performance, and that is actually how we've seen them for the last 2 years, and something they have not put together all of this year. And if you remember last week, I said this would be sort of the win or go home game for the Bengals this season. That if you lost to the Cardinals, you put Burrow on IR and you tank the season. And you pick up a really good offensive lineman, and then you go again. But, I mean, at the last possible opportunity, they showed some life. And I'm gonna say they keep riding that wave. I think they're seeing that Baltimore is not invincible. I think they're seeing that Pittsburgh is not invincible. And suddenly, with one more win, they can be back in the race for the division. And I think that's what they do. I think the Bengals win, hopefully, because I hate Seattle anyway, so I have to pick them. I have no choice, but they are at home. And they're going to beat the Seahawks. Niners at the Browns.
Listen, I know you're probably not going to believe this, but this game, if Watson actually plays, is probably going to be a really close game. I don't even think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be one of those 20-19 games if Watson plays. But he's day-to-day still, so I don't know if he's going to. If he doesn't play, and they start... was it DTR, whatever his name is?
Yeah, Thompson Robinson.
Yeah. If they start him again, you guys are going to beat them by 40. There's no doubt about it. But if Watson plays, I think this is going to be a really close, hard-fought, smash-mouth game. However, I can't go against the 49ers, even though they're in Cleveland for this. I can't go against them because they haven't lost yet, and they have been beating the hell out of everybody. I'll take the 49ers on the road.
What makes you think that this will be the close game? If like, say, Watson plays, why would it be close?
I think it will, man. I think the Browns are better than anyone's giving them credit for, and they're coming off of a bye. It is in Cleveland. Now, Deshaun Watson's health, outside of just if he doesn't play or not, if he does play, his health could factor into that, and it could go the opposite way. But I think if he is actually 100% healthy when, I guess he wouldn't be 100%, but 90% healthy when he steps out on that field, this team is capable of scoring at any time. I think it'll be close. I think they can actually sneak up and punch the 49ers in the mouth. I don't think they're going to win. I just think they can do it.
You know, the Niners just played the quote-unquote best defense in the league.
The Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who played the Jets, Giants, and Patriots to earn that title?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, man. After this one, I might be getting arrogant here. I might be getting too bold. But I'm taking the Niners. And when I saw the spread, I saw Niners minus 5.5 at Cleveland. Fastest bet I've ever made. I would take probably take Niners minus 7 or 8 at the moment. On the road, doesn't matter. They're going to win. They're going to win convincingly. There's 28 teams in the league that are just on like a lower level of just existing, of everything, and the Browns are certainly one of those teams. And can't say I complain. Of course, if they end up losing or it ends up being a really close game, I'll have to eat a lot of dirt for that come next week. But for now, I'm confident. Brock Purdy is on MVP watch. He has not thrown a single interception this entire year, while boasting a passer rating that's a solid 10 points better than Aaron Rodgers' career average. That's all I will say. Also hasn't lost a game as a starter in the regular season. Niners win convincingly at the Browns. We have the Saints at the Texans.
Yeah, the Saints stomped out the Patriots, but are the Patriots just that bad? I'm trying to figure out whether I want to believe this. This is a bipolar team. It's like Jekyll and Hyde out there. The Saints are dominant one week, and then they get blown out the next week. Derek Carr looked better than he did the week before. I can say that, but he's still hurt. You can tell. But they played the Patriots and just stomped the crap out of them. Texans coming off that loss to the Falcons. Texans are a good team. Like, even though they lost to the Falcons, and a lot of people want to talk crap about the Falcons and say, how can you give up points like that to Desmond Ridder? You couldn't stop Ridder. No, this is actually a good defense. It's just the fact that the Falcons are sometimes completely on. They're not always on, but when they are, they're a really good team. Texans are better than that, so I don't know. I feel like I'm making a mistake here, but I still think the Texans are just better than anyone gives them credit for. And I hate the Saints, so I'll be picking the Texans at home.
That's the same logic that I have with the Seahawks every time.
Yeah.
I hate that team. I'll pick against them. The Texans are better than we gave them credit for. I'll agree with that. CJ Stroud is certainly better than anyone gave him credit for. He might be the best Ohio State quarterback in NFL history if he retired today. That's almost how it feels, because he's playing head and shoulders above the rest of his draft class at the moment, and he might be in line for Offensive Rookie of the Year, as it's looking at the moment, which isn't easy to do for a quarterback, especially for a rookie quarterback with a rookie head coach as well. So Texans are overachieving in a way, and given how the division is working out, they're kind of in the playoff picture, even at 2-3, and they will probably stay that way. I'm going to have to be realistic here and take the Saints, though. I think we saw when Derek Carr comes back, this offense can play, this offense can perform. I think they'll get it done. The Texans have too many weak spots still. It'll be a tough one. It'll be a fight. And an upset is entirely possible. But I have to go Saints and challenge your pick here. I think I have to take advantage of that and go with the favorite. Colts at the Jags.
I'm actually looking up. Yeah. These two are both 3-2 right now. But I still think the Jaguars are the king of this division. The Jaguars coming off of 2 wins, one of them over the Bills, which nobody expected they were going to get that. Now, the Colts are surprisingly good, also much like the Texans, and they just beat their rivals, the Titans, but I think the Titans are bad. You think they're a little better than I do. I think the Colts are actually a decent team. This is going to be Gardner Minshew time, which actually does not hinder them that much because Gardner Minshew is a serviceable backup. It's not like Aiden for the Raiders there. So Gardner can get it done, but I got to stick with my Jaguars. They are back home in Jacksonville, even though they were home in London anyway. But back home in Jacksonville, I think they're going to continue to progress throughout this season, and it starts with beating the Colts without AR-15 out there.
Is that a good or a bad thing for the Colts at the moment to not have AR-15? I know he's exceptionally gifted a player, but maybe, so far with Minshew, they've looked pretty good. they've looked pretty consistent because that's, you know, sort of the veteran, the experienced player who won't make a lot of mistakes, who could throw the ball. This makes it not that easy. Honestly, if it was Richardson out there, I'd be more inclined to pick Jacksonville than I am now. I feel like this Colts team could upset a lot of teams, as is at the moment. But Jacksonville did look really good in the London series. I think they'll come home with some bravado, and I think they get it done here at home. I think this is one of the games that they definitely had marked in their calendar from the start of the season, as this is like a milestone in the division race, and I think they'll be very well prepared for it. I think they'll get to Minshew a little bit. I don't think they'll completely contain him, but yeah, Jacksonville wins, though I will say they are 4-point favorites, and they are at home, so even the odds makers don't see them as like anything special here. This is like very much a very, very close game, and I do agree with that, but I still think the Jaguars get it done. Panthers, Dolphins.
Another rookie quarterback who's banged up, but I'm assuming he's going to be playing this week against the Dolphins, against his former Alabama quarterback. I guess, was Tua still there when he got to Alabama? I don't think so. Tua might have actually left. I think Bryce got there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
because Bryce came out as a junior, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
So it must have been, yeah.
He got there in 2020 during the Mac Jones year. But either way, these two might have high-fived on the way in and out the door there. The Dolphins are a much better team than the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to be something to contend with in 2 seasons if they can put it together. But as for right now, they're one of the worst teams in the league. The Dolphins, if Tua cleans up those interceptions, he is right there at number 1 for the MVP again, and I will be taking the Dolphins at home.
I'll also take the Dolphins at home, 13.5 points. Yeah. A big spread. I'm staying away from betting on this one, but I'll take the Dolphins. Both like 2 quarterbacks that I root for, 2 teams that I'm sympathetic about, but yeah, the Dolphins are looking very strong. They had that one blip against Buffalo, division rival, happens. Other than that, they've looked nearly flawless, and I think had they won that game against Buffalo, I think a lot of people have them at number 1 in their power rankings and as prohibitive favorites to make the Super Bowl in the AFC, but they didn't, so some stuff left to prove. This is a must-win game, and the Dolphins will get this done without issue. Patriots at the Raiders.
How many times have we had the chance to say Tank Bowl for a Patriots game?
For the Patriots, man. Not in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe, no, not a long time. Even Brady's last season, they were like 8-8.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been quite some time. Even the season after Brady left, Mac Jones had just got there. They did pretty well that season. I think
he was a Pro Bowler as a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here they are, one of the worst teams in the entire league, and I really love to see it. The Raiders, on the other hand, are not setting the world on fire. They beat the Packers, but are the Packers any good? I don't know. They might get better throughout the season also, but right now they're not great. They're just slightly below the mediocre line. I'm going to say this is a revenge game for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's been waiting for quite some time to put one over on Bill Belichick. I'll be taking the Raiders at home.
Before we talk about the Raiders and Patriots, just looking back at that Monday night game, because the Packers are on bye week, I don't get a chance to pick on them in their own segment, so I would like to do so now and welcome the Packers to reality. There are, Packers fans my age that don't know what it's like to not have a Hall of Famer at quarterback, and that's something that probably no other team in the NFL history right now knows. And this is it. This is what it's like. We thought Jordan Love was an MVP caliber quarterback the first 2 weeks, and he's regressed to the mean. And people very unfairly are already calling for his job, which I never agree with. He's been starting half a season. But it's not the same Packers team. This team is incredibly mediocre, and the reason I pointed out is because that's what I've been saying for probably close to 4 or 5 years would happen once Aaron Rodgers is out the building, because they never cared about building around him. And that's what the Packers are experiencing right now. The Lions are going to run away with a division that they have dominated for 20 years. That much for the Packers, though. Pats and Raiders is difficult. I think I'll have to give it to the Raiders purely based on momentum, because they came off with the win and the Patriots just lost. Had their 2 worst losses in 20 years, back to back, if you can believe that. And, I mean, the Patriots season's over. I mean, the type of injuries they've sustained is something I can't remember seeing anything this crazy. You have, both of their best defensive players going down in the same game, I believe, a week or 2 ago. It's preposterous. And, I mean, wide receiver play Ohio State might have a better wide receiving core than the Patriots at the moment. If you just exchange those rooms, they might be more productive, and I mean that in all earnesty. It's rough. It's looking rough. Patriots need a lot of drafting, a lot of rebuilding, because they've lost a lot of those strong players and didn't really build around Mac Jones the way they should have. So some rebuilding due for the Patriots. I'm taking the Raiders. Max Crosby, by the way, is just some name we never mention, but he's like probably the most dynamic player in the league, and he could very well be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, and has been for a few years. That guy he's amazing, and I think it's time we pointed that out more. I don't know, he's never gotten the kind of recognition he deserves, but he's probably he's like a top 3 defensive player in the league consistently, so I think he will have a big impact on this game, considering how terrible the Patriots offense and offensive line has been. And the Raiders get one over and they win back-to-back games. Lions and Bucks.
I do want to say one quick thing about the Packers also. They finally actually have a decent wide receiver core. They waited till Aaron Rodgers was gone to actually put together a decent receiving
Kinda,
unit. Right? Yeah,
they drafted him in Rodgers last year.
Yeah, exactly. Problem is, well, and now with Jordan Reed just came in this year, but the problem is Jordan Love might not be the guy to get it done there. He can't really distribute the ball that well. But here we are, the opposite of the Packers. The Lions. People your age have never seen a good Lions team. So
that's true.
They just changed places. I mean, same division. They just flip-flop the places there. These Lions are good. I think they're going to be deep into the playoffs, if not make a Super Bowl run if they keep playing the way they are. On the other hand, the Bucks are much better than anyone thought they were going to be. They also have 3 wins in this division. This division is going to be tight at the end. I think the Bucks are coming off of a bye, and they should be all rested up, but it is Baker Mayfield. You can always count on him to fumble it away just when you think they're going to win. I'm going to take the Lions on the road.
I'm just thinking, people of what age have seen a good Lions team?
Oh, Jesus. Barry Sanders days, maybe?
Yeah. I'm looking back here. The last time the Lions won a playoff game was in 1991.
Yes, all right, yeah.
That's a long time ago.
The last time they made the playoffs. Too. Yeah, the last time they made the playoffs might have been 2015.
2016, yeah.
16, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Not a lot of teams have seen good. Not a lot of people have seen good Lions teams. You got to go back to this one outlier in the 90s. There's one in this, like in 1970, and that's it.
Wow,
that's it.
What a
that's rough.
Team. Yeah.
They've had double-digit wins twice in this millennium.
I feel sorry for their fans. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the year, because I'm gonna pick them. I'll say they get it done against Tampa Bay. Though I don't. I mean the Bucks, I guess we could say, are kind of overachieving, but they've looked pretty good. They've looked alright, better than we thought they would. Definitely, I'd say better, more dynamic than last year at least, with some of the key defensive players returning. But the Lions are really good. I mean, they're top 5 in most power rankings now, and I can't necessarily disagree with it. They're solidly the 3rd best team in the NFC, and they'll probably win a playoff game this year, the way it's looking right now. So, Lions get it done, go to 5-1, something we haven't said, I don't know since when, since forever. Cardinals and the Rams.
Yeah, interesting turn of events here. The Rams came out on the short end of a clunky slugfest with the Eagles. It did not go their way in the end. The Eagles are 5-0. We'll get to them in a minute, but I'm just surprised that they're 5-0. The Rams should be better than the Cards on paper. They have the talent over the Cards. I don't think Kyler Murray probably won't even play this year. A lot of people are expecting him to come back, but I think that's still a tumultuous relationship that Kyler Murray has with the team. I don't know if he does play this year. You might be stuck with Josh Dobbs all season. Josh Dobbs had been looking good. He had a bad game this past week, and it didn't quite work out for the Cards. They got beat up by the Bengals. So in this one, I will go with the paper champions and say the Rams get one over on the Cards at home.
I'm taking the Rams to win the game. However, I am actually betting on the Cardinals against the spread because the Rams are 6.5-point favorites, and that is too much for my liking. Given it's a divisional game, given those are two suspect teams that can implode at any moment and be good at any moment, I think when it comes to betting, I'm not giving either team a full touchdown here. So I will bet on the Cardinals. Still will take the Rams to win, though. I have a bold prediction to make, and if you want, we can bet on this if you're feeling it. I'm gonna say the Cardinals are drafting a quarterback next year.
Ooh, yeah, I think you're right.
I think they're picking one.
Don't go the Lincoln Riley route again.
I don't know if they'll get to pick him.
Yeah, I mean they've got one win so far, and everybody thought this was their tank year. I mean, who's going to get him? The Broncos? They're stuck with the Vikings.
Chicago, maybe? I guess. Chicago makes sense. Minnesota, yeah, possibly.
Chicago has been thrown around, but I think the Bears are going to win more games throughout the season. Yeah, the Panthers don't need. Yeah.
No. Giants can't really afford it, even if they wanted to. They're paying Daniel Jones too much money.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not really the problem.
Possibly.
Yeah, Arizona.
Don't go the Caleb Williams route. Don't try that all over again. It's
Though
the same player.
It's not the same player as Kyler. He's a lot more developed as a passer. There is actually a player that is a lot more like Kyler and a lot more closely of a fit to the Cardinals, remaining the joke of the league.
Spencer Rattler?
There we go. That's exactly what I was thinking. See, that is the carbon copy. That is the pick.
Yeah, that is the carbon copy there. He's the cross between Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
It's all the bad things combined.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see that.
I mean, I'd love to see it. Cardinals are in my division. Be my guest. Keep picking those guys.
Yeah.
Certainly would prefer that over picking an actually really competent pro style ish passing quarterback, which there are a lot of in this draft class, by the way,
yes,
as well. So, yeah. My bold prediction. I don't know if anyone cares to disagree with me. Cardinals will pick a quarterback in the upcoming draft. They're also going to lose to the Rams, but I think they'll cover the spread. Eagles and Jets.
Seeing how good the Jets can be, this is a tough game because the Eagles, like I said, they're getting these clunky victories and they're really close games, and they haven't blown anybody out. They're not the same Eagles of last season, but they're undefeated somehow. These are the Vikings of last year. They're having these close, hard-fought games that are just going their way in the end. Don't think they're really as good as they were last year. I'd be really surprised if we saw them in the Super Bowl this year, but I know Eagles fans would probably want to beat me up for saying that because they are a rowdy bunch. But the Jets defense is good enough to take them into the playoffs again. I don't think it'll happen with Wilson as quarterback, but it's happened before, obviously. This is tough. I guess I have to go with the undefeated team here, even though it's on the road. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets win this, but I'll take the Eagles on the road.
I just, the other day, realized that the Eagles' running game probably has the best Swift-Kelsey combination in the entire NFL. And I think the Eagles are going to win this game. However, this feels so much like an upset. Like, I can see it in my head. I can see the Jets defense somehow holding them to 10 points, 10, 13 points. and shutting him down, and it's like the signature win for Zach Wilson and everything. But it just would be careless to make that pick, I think, because as much as the Eagles don't look as convincing as the Niners or maybe even the Dolphins in the wins they've had, they are still one of the best rosters in the league, and their offensive line is incredible, and their receivers are incredible, and Jalen Hurts is playing very much well enough to keep them, even though he's not on anyone's like MVP trajectory like it was last year, but he's keeping them in the mix, and they are undefeated. Jets on paper are not very good offensively, so beating the Broncos is not enough to convince me of this one. I will take the Eagles. I think it's quite likely that we'll get the Niners and Eagles as the last two undefeated teams against each other. Was it week 9 or week 10 when they're playing? I'll have to look it up. I think there's a pretty good chance that they both make it. Both make it through. Not sure when it happens. Might be later than that even.
You know what? I have a vision for this game. I think somebody's gonna get lost in a sea of green and tackle a teammate at some point in this game.
You think they're both gonna wear green?
Well, no, I mean, one is gonna be wearing white, but still, they're used to seeing the white jerseys, right? I don't know. I just think it'd be funny if somebody tackled their own teammate. It's happened before.
It has happened. That is true. Niners play at Philly in week 13. So that would mean week 13, both teams still undefeated. I think it's possible. I think week 13 might be for the 1 seed.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this Eagles team is not good enough to still be undefeated by then. They might do it because, like we saw with the Vikings last year, I just don't think they're as good as they were.
No, they're not as good as they were last year, but they're still the best team in their division. And they're top 3 team in the conference. I mean, they haven't lost. They just have the roster, right? This is such a deep roster and such a talented roster all around.
Yeah.
And the offense is running to perfection. The defense is stacked. They're just good. Even though they're not firing on all cylinders. They're just very, very good, and that's good enough to beat almost everyone. So they are going to go to New York and win. Giants at the Bills, which, as we now know, is the biggest spread of the week. 14 points for the Bills.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, the Eagles have to play the Bills at some point, and the Dolphins.
True.
They're playing that division, obviously.
That's right.
We'll see what happens. The Giants are bad, like I said earlier, and Tyrod Taylor is going to be out there. I know some people who hate Daniel Jones believes that Tyrod Taylor actually gives them a better chance to win, but Tyrod Taylor has won absolutely next to nothing in his entire career. I don't hate the guy. He seems like a really lovable, friendly guy, but he's not going to win any games, and the team is already bad. The offensive line is worse than it's been in the past 5 years, probably. And that's saying something, because they've had really bad offensive lines. He's going to get beat up if he is out there. The Bills are coming off of that loss in England. They should get it back together. This is the get-right game. They're going to be mad and pissed off. Stephon Diggs is going to catch 12 passes for 2 touchdowns in this game, probably 100-something yards. I'll take the Bills at home.
Yeah, definitely take the Bills at home. Though I would stay a mile away from betting on this also, because 14 points is too much for nearly any NFL game. It's very difficult, especially if the favorite team has just lost and is flying back from overseas. Some things that make me want to stay away from it. Also, the Giants said can't really get much worse than it already is, so they might as well just play. And oftentimes what happens in those cases actually becomes like a sneaky close game for some reason if the Bills play down to their competition, which they are liable to do, as we've seen just very recently in London. So I'm not betting, but the Bills are going to win the game. I think it is a get-right game, like you say. Should be easy pickings. Anything else would be a major upset. Mm-hmm. This one is actually my favorite, and it's all the way at the end. I've been waiting for this all week. Mm-hmm. Cowboys and the Chargers.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, one thing about this game, I'm kind of mad that Austin Eckler is questionable going into this game. He did not play the last 2 games. Coming off the bye, you would think maybe he's ready, but they haven't listed him as a probable yet. I know we don't even have that tag in the NFL anymore, but we used to have the probable tag. That's how you knew a player was ready to go back into the game. And it's on Monday night, so that hurts for fantasy, because if you leave that spot open and he does not play, it's like a game time decision. You're stuck like Chuck there, buddy. The Cowboys have been really good and really bad this season. They have shown up and shown out and got blown out. And it's another Jekyll and Hyde bipolar situation. The Chargers had some bumps in the road, but their offense has always been firing, unlike the Cowboys. Cowboys still have a great defense, but they can get blown out, as we just saw last week. Chargers, coming off of the bye, should be ready to go. This offense should be firing on all cylinders. Whether it's Austin Eckler or not, we'll see. I am taking the Chargers, and the Cowboys are going to be at 500 after this game.
I love the fact that you picked the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Puts me in a bind, though. This is a difficult one. Because if I pick Dallas here, I'm clearly the bad guy who thinks they're going to come back somehow against a team that is objectively quite likable in the Chargers. And, of course, everything in me wants the Chargers to win this one. However, for no reason related to football at all, I will take the Cowboys. Ooh. Officially, I will pick the Cowboys to win the game. Here's why. If the Cowboys win, I gain a point on you, so I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. If the Cowboys lose, the Cowboys lose, so I'll be happy. This is the classic old win-win. I like to hedge against myself sometimes in bets like this or picks like this. So this is what I'm doing here. I was actually hoping for you to take the Chargers so I could do it. I want to clarify, I'm only taking Dallas for that reason only, not because this is pure gamesmanship. This is not football related. I think they're extremely overrated. They beat up on 3 of the 5 worst teams in the league, and they lost to like another one of the 5 worst teams in the league. That's all they played, and they played a juggernaut, and they got completely blown out, and they are delusional about it. They said they're expecting to see them again in the playoffs, and it'll be very different. Right now they're the 7th seed, and they have to play the Eagles twice, and they might not even make the playoffs as it's looking at the moment. So they're not really in it. I hope they lose. Everything in me wants to see them lose, but I'm hedging my bets here. So officially, I will take the Cowboys. I know it doesn't make me a fan favorite, but that's what I'm gonna do. Still rooting for the Chargers, though. That's our week. We have the Packers and Steelers on bye. Steelers probably feeling good about themselves. Packers not so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they probably want to buy at this point. The Packers do.
How do you like the Steelers' chances overall this season? After that game?
I feel better about him after that game. Pickens is the man. Like, this guy is going to be, maybe not this year. I predicted it would be this year. But at some point, he is going to absolutely be the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. And he's going to do it with Kenny Pickett. Some wide receivers like Stephon Diggs needs one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to throw the ball to him. Pickens does not. He's just that good. He reminds me so much of AJ Green, and not just because they played on the same college team, but he's built like him, moves like him, and he has hands like him. And the guy can get open, and he will not miss the ball. He makes those big touchdowns look so easy. I don't know. I like George Pickens. He's going to be great. But yeah, I think the Steelers are going to get better throughout the season. Like, they've had some bumps in the road. I predicted them to win that division, which it looks like it's going to be tough at this point, but they are going to get better throughout the season. I believe it.
It's going to be tough, but that's kind of what that division is like, right? It's a tough division. It's the AFC North. It's like the quintessential, Midwestern toughness, like, grind it out in the winter. Every game's going to be cold. Every game's going to be physical. Steelers are built for that just as well as any other team, and they're not out of it by any means. I mean, how is the standing in that division right now? Who's leading?
Oh, good question.
I have any idea, because it can't be anything.
No, I think they're probably bottlenecked right now. The Bengals have...
Steelers are leading. Steelers are currently playoff bound, yeah.
But don't they all have
3-2.
like 3 wins?
Yeah, they do. But the Steelers currently hold the tiebreaker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I expect that the Bengals are going to be better for the rest of the season also.
Could happen. That division is very tied up. 3-2, 3-2, 2-2, and 2-3. So anything can happen in that one. Same as the AFC South. By the way, those two are close ones. But look for the Steelers. Haven't had a losing season under Mike Tomlin, legendarily, and yeah, maybe it continues. It's gonna be a rough one, but it's possible. Did you hear about the Falcons' most recent trade that dropped like half hour before the show?
Oh yeah, did they get Van Jefferson, right?
Van Jefferson, yeah, from the Rams.
Yeah.
Is that a big impact? Do you like that one?
Not at all. No. Nah, he's not gonna do anything. I mean, Mac Hollins is probably a better wide receiver than Van Jefferson, and he's not even making a big impact. If they're gonna dominate in the passing game, it's all gonna be through Drake and Pitts. I mean, he might, I don't know, unless he was just being misused by the Rams. I haven't seen anything special out of Van Jefferson to make him an impact player at all. I mean, have you seen anything great out of him?
Nothing great, but he's been like a reliable wide receiver 3 for them, I believe. Like when you have double and triple coverage on Cooper Kupp and you have tight end or someone clearing out the middle, he can win on the deep in routes, and he can win across the middle, and he's serviceable.
Drops a lot
and
of
maybe,
passes though.
Yeah, he has the liability there. That is true. But I mean, maybe he can fill a similar role as a wide receiver 3 for the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, he's had decent games, but last year Stafford started throwing to Skowronek instead of Van Jefferson because of the dropped passes. At least that's what I believe the reason the shift happened. He's been non-existent almost so far this season. And
it did force the Rams to trade him, or make the Rams want to trade him, get rid of him. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. But there's another weapon, I guess, for Desmond Ridder, which you can never really have too many of.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not like an undrafted free agent that they picked up off the street, He has draft capital behind him, so he could always turn out to be what he was drafted to be, sure.
Exactly. He's an experienced player. He can run routes, and yeah, I think he'll be fine. For a playoff push, could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And maybe over the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to see some more big name trades, since the trade window is coming to a close pretty soon. Broncos were one of the candidates for a yard sale. Randy Gregory already gone. Our Patrick Surtain, Jerry Jeudy following. What do you think?
Possible. I know Jerry Jeudy wants out from what I've been hearing, and maybe Surtain also. They'll take their Alabama skills somewhere else. Come on down to the Falcons. We'll take you. I'd love to see Jerry Jeudy out there alongside Drake. That would be amazing.
You suddenly like Alabama players.
Oh yeah, I mean sometimes you know. Yeah. SEC players in general. If the Falcons had only SEC players, I would be absolutely happy. Like Desmond Ridder, he came from Cincinnati, but other than that, yeah, I'd take him. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they would have drafted Tua or something like that. Also, could leave Mac Jones out of the equation, but yeah.
I'd argue the best player in Falcons history is an Alabama player.
Julio, yeah. Absolutely.
If we're not counting Dion, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is an argument to be made for Dion, for sure.
I guess technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the Falcons just living by Alabama players. The irony.
Well, I mean, we do get a good bit. Well, I don't know. We've had Clemson players also. I mean, really every team gets players from everywhere, but as far as prominent players, yeah, we've had a ton from Alabama. That's for sure.
That's true. Speaking of Alabama, you messaged me at some point this week, and you said, "Forget what I said. I'm back on the Georgia train."
Yeah, absolutely. They beat the stew out of Kentucky. Now, Kentucky was being touted as a really good defense and a dark horse to actually win the entire SEC this year. Everybody was on that train, and after the way that Georgia was playing, everyone was down on Georgia. They were giving up too many points and not putting up enough points. So I guess word got back to them, and Carson Beck actually was seeing online, and this is apparent because of the statements he made online after the game, but he was seeing how down people were on him, and they were telling him, you're never going to make it. It's time to bring in Brock Vandergriff and whatever, but the guy went out there and put up one of the most dominant performances of the season, if not of the last few years in college football. He was on fire, and it was amazing. You got Brock Bowers out there, so you're going to play. All you got to do is throw anywhere near Brock Bowers, and he's going to catch the ball anyway. That guy is probably the best tight end ever to come through Georgia. Maybe the best tight end to ever play in the SEC of all time. And he's going to be one of those. Yeah, he's going to be one of those first rounders. He's like a Kyle Pitts, Yeah, I'm trying to think. Dennis, remember Dennis? What was his name that played for the Ravens a few years back? Dennis Pitta. Yeah. He's one of the top tight ends in college football of all time. But Brock Bowers is smashing all their records. Yeah. But I'm back on the train. They're back at number one in the AP. Well, actually, I don't think they ever left number one in AP. They should have. A lot of people were select. Yeah, a lot of people had Michigan up there. Michigan still looks scary, and I would like to play them in the championship game rather than any other time. So, it looks like that could be a possible march toward the championship game. Oregon still looks good. I think they might have had a bye this past week, didn't they?
I love Oregon. Yeah, they did.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I am back on the Georgia train. I wish I wouldn't have said that last week now, because they proved they are the best team in the SEC East by far.
I'll have you know, I never even got off the Alabama train, even when they lost. And then they just got it one out, and they got it done against A&M. Wasn't glamorous, but they fought back, and I believe they should be ranked above Texas, given how they lost. And that didn't look too good at all. So to me, Alabama should be in the top 10. They aren't quite yet,
11,
but
right?
I believe they are at 11 at the moment in the AP poll. Yeah. But I believe they will be, because they have 3 back-to-back ranked teams to play after next week. I believe they beat all of them, and they are going to be back in the running. Game of the week, though, Oregon-Washington, right? Yeah. I think that's that's the legitimacy contest. Winner is...
Yeah, Bo Nix versus Michael Penix Jr. That'll be
winner is a legitimate playoff team contender.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which I don't believe Oklahoma is, for instance.
I don't know, man. They got one over on Texas. I do think in the long run Texas is a better team than Oklahoma. But, that's a rivalry game, and they've been playing that Red River shootout for 100 years or whatever it is. So those games are always going to be difficult. Even though Georgia is like 10 times better than Florida, when we go down to the cocktail party in Jacksonville, it's always going to kind of be a tough game. I mean, we have blown them out, and they've blown us out, but it's still a game where you're never sure until it happens. Because it's such an old rivalry.
I know what you mean. I remember plenty disappointing Iron Bowl or nail-biting Iron Bowl that should not have been one, but it happens all the time.
Yep, absolutely.
It happens all the time. But I'm actually, if we're writing Alabama off, as a lot of people are, I'm on the Oregon bandwagon for this year, purely because of the Colorado thing, and for no other reason at all. That's the only reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, they've beat teams by more points than any other team in college football. I got to give it to them. Oregon is good. That's Dan Lanning. That's the former defensive coordinator for Georgia. He knows how to put together a defense, and he knows how to put together an offense because he learned it from Kirby. And Kirby was a defensive guy also. He put together all those defenses that Alabama dominated the entire world with for so many years. And he's from that lineage. So by proxy, he's from the Saban lineage. And the guy is good. He's putting together something special out in Oregon.
I'm going with Oregon. Plus, I like the name Ducks. I think they'll beat Washington. I'm rooting for them.
I think so. I think they got this.
I would love to see.
They're gonna win the Pac-12.
Yeah, I agree. Be cool to see them in the playoffs. Just why not make some waves?
Probably will be. Haven't been there since Marcus Mariota. Actually.
Yeah, since Mariota. Was it actually Mariota versus Winston?
Yes, absolutely.
It was, right?
Yeah.
In the Orange Bowl, I think it was FSU and
2014
Ducks. Yep, something like that. Been a while, so almost 10 years. Time to get back. But of course, I'm not quite leaving the Alabama train just yet. If they beat all those 3 ranked teams, the upcoming 4 weeks, I think they might still have a chance, depending on how the rest turns out. But other than that, I'm definitely going Oklahoma. Do we have anything to add for this week concerning the NFL?
No, I think that's it for this week.
All right. Then for everyone watching, let us know your picks in the comments below. Drop us a like. And I will say one more time, the poll for the NFL MVP is live on the channel community page. You can leave your vote on who's winning. Right now, I've reduced it down to 4 candidates because that's all the amount they'll let me put. So if you have another candidate that's not listed, fan of Jared Goff, or you think Patrick Mahomes outside chance, just leave a comment and tell me why you think so. But go ahead and vote, and I'm curious to see what the turnout's been. It's been Tua every week. Just last week it flipped to Josh Allen. Are we going to see it flip back, or do we get a third person involved this time? I'm curious to see that. So Tua still has my vote by the slightest margin. Smokey, you're going Purdy?
Yeah, I'm going for Purdy this week. I mean, it could go back to Tua if he has another one of those monster games. But, yep, going with Purdy right now.
And he might. And he might, because he's playing a garbage team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But so is Josh Allen.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Thank you for watching the show, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard, ha. Check.